There are more chairs.
Are you saving this spot for someone? Sneak past your don't know where that chair came from. It's in the way.
Well, I know we got the pool.
Good. Good. How are you?
Yeah.
So you got car show. You go to the car show, got you?
We got there late. There wasn't much of a crowd here when I got there, but I usually got to stay in line.
Movie was good. It was appropriate for the day, but
Keep waiting.
Very much. Was that the last one that was taken?
It's all right. I can live without.
Here, you know what? I can share mine.
Usually they show. Check home.
You do really good at it. I know every morning I'll get up and I have a video. He's doing really good now, finally. Yeah. No, I was kind of worried about him there for a while, but
Yeah.
meet me here.
There's chairs, but they're buried back there.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's good to
It is.
What's that? Okay, if you'll join me in the salute to the flag, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Are you ready to go read?
We should be, yeah.
I see my council is all here. Do I have any agenda modifications at this point?
Yes, I would like to suggest just a change of order, and could we, council, move item L, the union contract vote after the Century West update before we get into unfinished business. I would also like to add after a short executive meeting.
Okay, so you want to put it at the end of unfinished business?
No, after, we have Century West giving an update.
Yes.
Before we get into that, could we do our union vote after Century
Right there,
West as well?
gotcha.
And then I would like for E to be a short executive meeting.
Okay.
Could you guys speak really loudly since you don't have any mics anymore?
We'll do our best.
Just speak loud.
Make sure we got that. And the executive session at the end of the meeting, correct?
No, well, there could be, if there needs to be another one, but I would like to have one right after
The
the
vote,
union vote.
certainly, if there's, unless there's any objections. Can you do that? Is that all right with you guys? All right. Any other agenda modifications at this point? Perfect. At this point, if you've not signed in and wish to do so, okay, we make you do it, but if you wish to sign in, now would be a good time to do it. It helps us in recording who was here and who wasn't. At this point, I'll accept a motion to approve the June 16th council meeting minutes.
I will make a motion to approve the June 16 minutes.
Okay, it's been moved. I'll second it. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. At this point, we'll go to public comments from the audience. Once again, I'll remind you, these are comments. We will not get into a question and answer period. You get 3 minutes. I will kind of catch your eye when we get close to the 3 minutes. And after the 3 minutes, we will catch up, okay? So do I have any public comments at this point? Mr. Palmer? Yes, sir, if you will. Thank you.
I want to bring up something that happened last May. And one of the council members had borrowed the backhoe, the city backhoe. And I was working in my front garden and I measured it. I was 61 feet from where he took the backhoe where it's parked behind City Hall here. And it was on the weekend and he took off in it. About an hour later, came back, and when it came back, it was smoking, smelled like burnt rubber. And then I just recently found out that they borrowed it, broke it, and did not repair, what they broke on the backhoe, and that's all I wanted. It just surprised me that, they had borrowed it, and basically burned the belts off of it and messed up the air compressor on it and left it for the city to fix. And I didn't think that was right, so I thought I'd bring it up. Pretty short and sweet, that one was.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, anybody else got a comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, last year they paved all of Lake Street except for the far north end, the cul-de-sac at the end where the city's utility easement is located.
Okay.
And I was just wondering if we could petition the council to consider finishing the Lake Street, just that one short section this year. I'd appreciate it. We would all the residents would appreciate it. As well as it'd be easier for the city to get to in the wintertime when they need to, should they need to get to the utilities down there.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments at this point? Okay,
First, I want to tell the council that we have a tough fight coming. And there's plenty of people that support me,
speak up, please.
so we're good with that. And I would also like to, so I put a thing on Facebook about why we were unionizing. The number one answer was the way the council has treated the employees. What I don't understand is how we monetarily punish the town for the way that is. If this was about treatment, why is it so much about money and everything else? If you want represented as far as the way we treat it, that's different than a big raise, big cost to the people. The other thing, I don't know if the contract is negotiated, nobody really answered, but you guys gotta make sure that you appoint somebody to negotiate with permission to negotiate. If it's negotiated without permission, it's a bad faith contract. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Dean?
I have been raising a garden for about 40 years. And this year the bee population is horrible. Part of that is because we had a horrendous winter. And part of it, I believe, is because we are spraying for mosquitoes. I kept track because Dave's very, very careful. He turns it off, as I've requested, when he goes by our house, he turns it off. It's he takes care of it. I kept it. Anyway, the day after, time before last, I went onto my back deck, not out front, onto my back deck. And I got a jar about that full of beneficials. Ladybugs, bees, dragonflies, roly-polies, you name it. It was in that jar. Same thing happened the last time it was sprayed. We had bees on our back deck that morning. They got sprayed that night. Bees are supposed to be asleep. They're not. They're not. They're dying. So I am asking the city to stop spraying until a study can be done to see the damages that are being done and what we can do as an alternative to spraying, because there's a tipping point and we're fast approaching it. Thank you. It's scary.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything at this point?
Hello, this is my first time. I'm really concerned about the union negotiations happening without input from our city council. These decisions affect every resident and should be made with transparency and accountability. Every time city workers have asked for a raise, they threaten to quit if they don't get it. Now we're being strong-armed by a union that could raise our monthly city bills a significant amount. That's on top of already having one of the highest bills in the county. And many of our residents live on fixed incomes. The city also has had to fire workers in the past for not doing their jobs. A union would make it harder to hold people accountable or make necessary staffing changes. City workers here already earn more than their peers in other towns and have already gotten multiple raises. At some point, the needs of the residents, the people footing the bill, have to come first. This isn't anti-worker, it's about protecting our town and keeping it affordable for everyone who lives here. Thank you.
Got another one?
I'm Kathy Houston, and the reason I'm up here tonight is because of all of the information that I've seen on Facebook about suppositions versus facts. First question I have is, anybody even asked the city employees why they want to join a union? I heard a rumor that someone had said that the sewer bill could go up as much as an additional $60 a month. And I would love to find out where that information came from. I find that highly doubtful. I too, pretty much on a fixed income. I do have a small part-time job. Hours are limited. And when I first moved here, I was taken aback by the amount of the water sewer garbage bill. It was probably right on line with what I paid in Seattle. And then I stopped to think about my property taxes and how incredibly cheap they are in comparison. And so I guess all of us are concerned, but I almost feel like people are running around screaming fire to wait until we know exactly what is what and go from there. So I just hope people please calm down and listen. Thank you. Oh, we have an aisle over here.
We're not set up for this.
Hi, I'm Nancy Fosen, and I want to speak on behalf of the union. I was a union member for probably 25 years, so I'm familiar with the pros and the cons both. But I agree that there isn't a lot of information out there about how this all came about. In any case, I think union benefits include fair wages, fair hiring practices, fair management practices, so that there's oversight with management. You have a better chance to attract qualified applicants. You can negotiate with staff regarding issues and behavioral problems. And you can use the union to resolve disputes and come to resolutions.
Thank you. Can I add one more thing?
You're gonna have to go back up.
I'll go back up there.
People are only allowed one time to be talking.
The other thing that I meant to say that I saw posted on Facebook was that the employees were looking for Seattle wages. And so I just decided to look up, see what the Seattle city clerk makes. Anywhere from over $9,000 to over $12,000 a month. If that's an indication of what someone thinks that our employees are looking for, I bet my life it is not. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else at this point? Of course you're way back, right? Sure. Where from?
Let's do this. Just like, come on, John.
Council members, have any of you seen these two manuals? Have you read them? Council Members Handbook, Knowing the Territory. I want to read one passage from each of them. In Washington cities, the council or commission, as a legislative body, establishes local laws and policies consistent with state law, usually through the enactment of ordinances and resolutions. The council also exercises general oversight and control over the jurisdiction's finances, primarily through the budget process. Although the council has general supervision over the city's operations, neither that body nor its committees or individual council members should attempt to exercise powers that are assigned by law to the executive branch, which is the mayor. In fact, in cities operating under council manager form of government, the law expressly forbids council members from interfering in certain administrative matters, although the council may discuss those matters with the mayor. RCW 35.18.110 and RCW 35A.13.12. Council members, you need to stay in your own lane. This is part of the reason that the employees, and I've talked to quite a few ex-employees that are no longer here because of the council's overreach and attitude toward the employees, which is part of the reason that we're facing this unionization situation. And I think it's ridiculous that it has to get this far. But here we are.
Thank you.
Please talk as loud as Larry does. We can't hear you.
Anybody else want to come on up with your 3 minutes? All right. So we're going to move on. Community group updates. Hi, you get more than 3 minutes if you wanted.
Oh, I hope I don't have that much to talk about. I do start rambling though. Hi, Jennifer Olson, Healthy Tekoa Coalition, for some of you that don't know me. So this summer has flown by. We're halfway through, and I did have at least one person at our end of year thing, which I know was during the day. That was back in May, so I appreciate having some community support. The teachers were there, and the youth had a great time, and we got to celebrate all their hard work for the past school year. And then, so that was in May, and then June was a blur between Slippery Gulch and personal stuff. And so now we're moving on into the summer. And so August, we're having our National Night Out. And this has been going on for as long as I have been a coalition coordinator and before. So I hope everybody can come out. It's going to be at Gymkhana, the beautiful playground. Whitman County Public Health is sponsoring the food. So we'll have hamburgers and hot dogs and food. So just come out. I'll have some squirt guns and there'll be some water, and our Levi, our pastor's going to do some kickball. So it'll be family fun, and hopefully y'all will just come out and hang out and not talk politics and have a good night. So that's what's going on with our summer. And then in the fall, we kick off all over again when all the kids come back. So that was all I wanted to invite you all, and thank you for having us.
What day was the team?
It's August 5th, 7 p.m., Gymkhana Park.
Okay. Any other community updates at this point? Great, thank you. Okay, Century West, you're up. Introduce yourself so we make sure we get the right.
Sure. My name is Dan Remick, REMMICK, Century West Engineering, project manager there. And we'll update you on the wastewater treatment facility plan. But the larger update is we're going through transition at the company, in particular with Matt Morkert, who's been with the company for 26 years. He's decided to move on. So we're going through a transition there, trying to figure out who's doing what and how to handle that. And I know he's been personally involved with TECO for probably decades as well. And it just so happens we're kind of at the tail end of this wastewater treatment plant facility plan, trying to get that wrapped up. So we're still trying to work through that. Looking forward to the major deadlines. The proposed funding for the treatment plant is through ecology, and that's on what's known as the Table 12 funding cycle. So it's already been programmed into ecology's funding for the next biennium, but we do need to get an approved plan through ecology by January. And so we have to go through, we'll have to submit them a draft plan, they'll send us comments, we'll make revisions to that. And so we're trying to get that wrapped up as quickly as we can. so that we can get through the process, because ecology's been taking a very long time to review things. Jason's gonna give you a little bit more of an update on the individual options and what's being done there. In general, we've been pulling together all this information, and it's all in pieces, and we're just trying to get it all wrapped up and get it into a report so we can deliver that to the city for consideration and get your feedback on it before it goes to ecology. So I've been tasked with helping Jason get this thing through, and so we'll be working on that in the next coming weeks just to get it wrapped up and delivered to the city. But that's kind of the update. The big news item is that Matt Walker's no longer going to be with us, and so we're trying to fill his shoes. So.
When you talk weeks,
I'm hoping to have a plan in 2 weeks that we can deliver to you at you have the next council meeting in 2 weeks. Is that correct?
This summer it will be in a month.
It'll be in a month. Okay. All right.
you bought some time.
Well, apparently. But yeah, so we'll definitely have a plan delivered by then, and yeah, we'll look forward to your comments on that and getting this thing moved forward. And with that, I'll let Jason give you an update. Yeah.
So with the work that Matt did, like we had some schedules, some proposed things that he did, like what if the plant was gonna cost 5 million versus 10. Will things look really different from what before?
They shouldn't look, no, there shouldn't be major differences. No.
So you're just basically pushing ahead with what he's gotten us to.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and Jason will speak to some of the alternatives as they've been broken down. But yeah, we're not making any major changes. It's just that, he's not gonna be here to see the project, the plan through the end. So we're trying to get all the information we can out of him before he walks out the door. But yeah, that's what we're doing, and I'll let Jason update you on that on individual alternatives.
Thank you.
We don't get it.
We have another one.
Oh, actually. You know what I mean? He needs one now. Yeah. Actually. Yeah, so everybody, I'm Jason Froelich. Like Dan kind of indicated, we're got a lot of information, considering a lot of things, and we're just trying to rope it all in, bring it together, and present some options. Since I wasn't able to pull it totally together, I put together this comparison matrix. So for the stuff where we have like rankings 1 through 5, that's if I wasn't fully finished with those, you can still get a sense of kind of how those will shape up relative to one another. And so I'm just gonna try and go through that real quick. As far as costs go, the projections for a couple of things which affected the costs changed. So some of the costs are a little bit different than what was presented last time, but not majorly. We're still waiting on some stuff for option 3 over at the far right there.
But just starting on the top left, going across the row, I kind of compare how much land each option is going to take. The first couple to first few, there might not be any land acquisition for those. Those are the updates to the treatment plant. A couple of options for that, and then what I call the baseline, which is no action. The right beneath that, the row below, I kind of give them a land acquisition complexity rating. And as you can see, other than the options where we are building some sort of lagoon type structure, the other ones are probably going to be quite a bit simpler. The unfortunate thing about that is that the options 2 and 3, the aerated lagoon and the extended aeration system, are probably going to end up being the cheapest option as far as treatment goes. And so, I mean, the thing that kind of drives that rating up for those two is that relative to where everything's kind of piped, there is high groundwater. There's take a look. There's a page. That shows, it's a FEMA map, and it shows kind of where the 100-year floodplain is. And you can see, you can kind of key in on where the plant is itself. The 100-year floodplain kind of runs right through the site. It's not as bad as it looks on that map, but there is a portion of the existing site that the 100-year floodplain runs through, and so that adds a lot of complications. I kind of go through and list out what the operator certification level is needed. They all need a level 2 except for the aerated lagoon. With the report, we'll kind of try and hone in on more specifics as to what sort of thing would be driving it one way or the other. The next row, I list out kind of the options as far as biosolids disposal for each. Some of them are locked into one option, and then at most they have 2. The preliminary costs, like I said, they changed a little bit, but so far haven't changed to too much of a degree compared to what I presented last time. I think I have a few more prices compared to last time. And then the second table, moving along to that. So this is one area where it changed a little bit, is we revised our calculations on the amount of field area that we needed. So we were thinking 6 to 8 acres for the field area itself before, and probably, and it'll still kind of depend on testing potentially, but it's almost certainly going to be up higher in the 15 to probably around 15 acres. The storage pond, that specifically describes the option that we talked about last time where they would store water through the summer months so that you could release it during the winter months. And that's, so it's quite a bit bigger than you would typically see, I guess, just because it has to hold so much fluid. The next page, so one of the things that drives where you can, I guess, locate some of these facilities is the type of soil that's there. The irrigation options, the one that I laid out there that says we need about 18 acres. There's not a lot of, according to this map, which, like I said, you'd need additional testing, not a lot of area in the vicinity that is great for the purpose. You have to have it, it can't slope too much and create runoff. It has to be, the soil needs a certain texture and composition, and so that's what this map kind of lays out. Key on the next page. The reason I included this parcel here is we had a map from a meeting previously that kind of indicated that there was somebody interested in potentially allowing this to be used or to sell it, I guess, for irrigation treatment. And it turns out because of kind of where it's located relative to the river, it's too close to the river to be able to do that. There's setbacks, but it is potentially a good spot for if one of the lagoons is chosen as an option, or if for whatever reason you guys decide that you want to relocate the plant the plant, that would be a good spot. And so I thought I'd slide that in there to see, does anyone know last time what the process was of contacting that person, or is this like a known? The name on the assessor's website is Cheryl Morgan. So you know who they are?
We've had conversations.
Okay. Okay. And so I guess one of the questions that we would be interested about on this property would be if they were open to land irrigation, whether they would also be open to potentially putting a lagoon structure there. So that was kind of the question there. If you go through that matrix again, one of the disposal options for biosolids is land application. These green and yellow areas are kind of where that would be a possibility. So I guess the next task for once we get you guys the report, would be finding the level of interest for that. It's a little different than the pure irrigation land application. So that will be in the report. These are properties that at some point showed some level of interest in this is on the next page. One looks like this. Some level of interest to be used as a land application site, and so at some point we'll be reaching out and trying to make contact to see if there is still interest. So I guess I'll contact you or.
Yeah.
And then the last couple of these are, this last one is also one of those sites that was listed as potentially having interest. And this would probably only be available for a relocation of the plant, looking at it now, but the reason I put it on the wetlands inventory map here is it doesn't show that there's a wetlands there, but through the SEPA process that will need to happen as part of this, it may or may not end up being designated a wetland, and so that would add some complication to that site. And so that'll be included in the report when it's
Can I make
discussed.
sure I'm looking at this right? You're looking at the page that has the Tekoa golf course on
This one. Right
it?
next
Oh,
to
the care
the,
center.
yeah, here's.
Okay, and then, is that the same one that's on the What is the one that shows the golf, isn't it the golf course in that? Is it, and but you're looking up here more at this, the golf course just happens to be on there, you're showing the entire area.
Yeah,
With
we're
wetlands
just showing
and
the area. It's a wetlands map. The only, it's almost just to indicate that there's not a lot of wetlands except for that parcel. I think this is a city-owned parcel, and I understand now that it's ruled out for other reasons, but according to Matt.
So when you talk about relocation, I guess I'm not understanding where on this map you're suggesting, or if I'm looking at the wrong map. You're where are you suggesting we could look at for relocation, if not where it currently is? Am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
I guess it's too early at this point to, I guess, pick out a site. And so these are just kind of the options that we're looking at right now. There isn't, I guess, a great reason to, if you were to go with mechanical plant, there isn't a great reason to relocate it. And so, yeah.
So just to clarify, here's the questions I know I'm gonna get asked after this. So this has been being worked on for like 20 years. And I know there's been a lot of different talks about different locations and stuff. And I kind of feel like it's still as ambiguous. Are we getting closer? Because didn't I hear that is it January? We have to know what we're doing in order to qualify for some of the funding? So that's 6 months away, 5 months away. So what can we expect next in order to know what your plans are or what you're offering us? Or is that it, that first page? Is that the only option?
These are kind of the options now that I guess task at this point would be to find the sites, and this kind of analysis is going to let us do that. In particular, the soil maps for where we can do land application, that sort of thing.
How soon will we know what site we're gonna have?
So once we get you the report, we'll kind of lay out what the possibilities are. And by the time this is approved, you may not even know at this level of planning, you aren't necessarily required to have location picked out.
So we don't have to have a land site to apply for the
It depends on what option that you go with, is my understanding.
Do we have any questions to it? Do we have any idea what's the most inexpensive plan versus the most expensive as you're looking at this right now? Ballpark?
Yeah.
We've heard all kinds of discussions on 5, 10, 15, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's still in the 5 to 10 range for all the options, basically. Looking here, like if you were to go with an aerated lagoon, and then seasonal storage, that'd be just under 5, and it would end up probably around the same. If you were going aerated lagoon with irrigation, and so it's right now turning out to be right around that 5 range on the low end and 10 on the high end.
Mm-hmm.
So like the higher end would be, there's a version of upgrading the activated sludge system, and that price is coming out to 6.3 right now is what the price we're given, 6.3 million for the plant itself, and then either of these 2 options, the storage and the irrigation, are right around 2.5, 3 million. And so both those options come out to just under 10 million. So that's like 4 out of 5 options there. So at this level, those are the ranges we're looking at.
so I guess the question will be, will you finally decide when you look at everything, what's the best plan for us? Is that what the engineers are going to decide? What plan will suit Tekoa the best? Money-wise, location-wise, certification-wise, as far as people who deal with the river keepers and those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what you're going to be doing? And if so, what kind of time frame?
We'll make a recommendation, and then it would mostly be up to your departments.
Jason, what do you need from us in the next month?
Help on the connecting with landowners. That should be a big thing. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I have. Oh, I guess you guys are asking questions. Yeah.
Well, I guess this is a very different layout and very different within the formats we've been given in the past. And the numbers are altogether a little bit lower.
Mhm.
And I'm just really kind of concerned about why all of a sudden are we looking at so much less. We were shown possibilities that like anywhere from $5 to $20 million when we had a public meeting here in January, February, whenever that was. So is it because is land acquisition kind of broken apart?
I think it's just the level of uncertainty about the cost impacts. We've just gotten a better idea of how much land it's going to take for the various options, how much the flow is reduced by.
And is that playing into it? Is the new lift stations are doing a lot of what we hoped it would do?
Yeah, I've looked at the what's called infiltration and inflow, which is basically like how leaky the system is, and kind of compared. And it'll be in the report. Kind of compared the before and after the lift station, and there's been I don't remember what the number was, but there's a noticeable difference.
My last question is, when you do bring the report, would it be possible to do it like with a PowerPoint or something so that whoever our audience and everybody we can follow a little better? I know we've done some on this wall before.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that, and I'll reach out ahead of time and send it.
Anybody else have anything?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you in a position to tell us a little bit more about whether or not any of this loan will be forgiven?
No. The funding program, I'm not.
Yeah, I think when the funding in January comes through, a ecology will provide an offer to the city, and that will include, that will detail out if any of that is forgiven. So it's all just loan.
I don't know if I heard what you said. Are they actually forgiving part of that loan?
We don't know. We won't know until they make an official offer.
Sean, you got something?
Yeah, Mr. Hanson, I've noticed that everyone else is looking at all their documents and you didn't look at a single thing. Do you have any kind of a comment for us about what's going on and how we can handle this?
This suicide project? Thank you. I do not know at this time.
Okay, thank you.
He doesn't get a vote.
No, I know that. Some information and opinion would be great.
Last thing, do we know, is there any kind of time frame? And we had some about when this project, knowing what we know now, there's still a lot to be done. So decisions have been made on what plan you think would be best, and that's probably gonna be weeks away. Do we know best case situation when this thing might be done, completed, the new upgrade plant and ponds and discharge, that might be completed? Is that years away, a year away?
It's years likely. For instance, if you were to go with the one of the land treatment options, my understanding is that any one of those options would require about a year worth of monitoring, in addition to some soil testing, and so that would push that timeline back, and so it's variable in a few ways. But as far as application, we're not approved by January for sure. That's still the plan.
So if we moved up the mechanical aspect of it, increase that size, as you're suggesting, and maybe a pond system, would that be the option, at least maybe more reasonably? The price might be more in what you're talking about, 5 to 10, or I'm not sure how much infrastructure we're gonna need. There's that one area that is between the sewer plant and the power substation. I don't know if that would be at all accommodating to that plan.
Yeah, so it is like something that we've looked at, and the amount of space there. There's that empty field and then farmland to the south. You probably have to convince the landowner, if you were to go with say a lagoon there, you'd have to convince the landowner to part with some of that farmland, because the 100-year, well, the size of the lagoons is such that it's just larger than that parcel. Yeah, larger than that area available. That's also the portion of the site that the 100-year floodplain runs through, and my understanding is if there was, if you were to change the elevations at all through that area, that would add another study that would, I guess, involve the Army Corps of Engineers, and that might push things back. So there's still quite a bit of variability for the schedule.
We're under the impression that we're gonna have a plan more like Fairfield. Is that at all accurate?
Don't they have a bioact facility?
Yeah, the system.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, a couple of these are pretty similar. So option 3, the column furthest to the right, the thing that I'm hoping is that the size of that one comes down and is more on the lower end of kind of the range that is listed there, because then it'll fit in that site potentially, or in that parcel that we looked at earlier that wasn't available for land application, but was. And that would actually work out well because there's some farmland near there that would be good for some of the other elements of the treatment. And so, yeah.
I have a question. It seemed as if 3 years ago, the Department of Ecology was really pushing this town to get this done right away. Now it seems as if we're dragging our feet. Why all of a sudden it's just kind of standstill?
I think maybe, I don't know what the situation was back then. I think maybe
Well, I mean, they went as far as, correct me if I'm wrong on this, guys, that if we have a time limit on this, and if we weren't getting it done within a certain time, that we would be fined. Is that correct, you guys? So what's going on with that now? I mean, are we gonna get fined?
if the I guess so the limits that I think you're talking about I think the River Keepers was putting a lot of pressure on ecology, and my understanding you guys to get forward progress, and my thought is maybe since they've seen forward progress, they're less worried about it. But as far as being fined, there's no, I guess, certain date as far as when a NPDES permit would be issued, and you wouldn't be in violation of the things that that River Keepers is concerned about until after that.
Okay, this seems more political though, because I know that, I don't want to be political here, but our environment everything's kind of been cast aside for the next 3-4 years. And if another party comes in, say within 3 years, and it's a Democrat, then we get back onto being environmentally cautious. And River Keepers can come in and all of a sudden get this rolling. I mean, come back to us and say, we want this done now.
I guess I'm not sure.
He has a question behind you.
So the big push for this is because we're a direct discharge into the creek, and
Right.
the water keepers want us off of that.
Correct.
So in the certain amount of months that you're allowed to discharge, that's fine as long as we do our testing before we discharge. That's still the push, and that's going to be a push until we get off of that.
Okay.
Mr. Remick, can I address a concern to you? Sure. And please know I want to be very diplomatic, but there's a little bit of a frustration in the community. It's been 15, 16, maybe almost 20 years ago that River Keepers came in and brought the attention and put the pressure. And I know there's steps that had to be taken, and I think the lift stations have been very helpful. But in all of that time, you get new populations of people, you get new council members, we get new people from Century West that's coming in. And we're spending a lot of money for these studies. Mm-hmm. And there's a frustration out there that in 5 years, we're back to doing another study because things have changed and politics have changed. And in the midst of this, I know we moved into the community in 2018 and have family already living here since the 1990s. And we were told to be prepared that in preparation for this, that our sewer bill particularly would see some hefty increases, and then we as a council have been asked to increase the sewer bill, plus the water rates need to go up too, because there's needs there as well. So, we really have people kind of in flux here with trying to figure out how to plan for that. Can they afford to live here? How much is it gonna go? We were given a schedule that kind of the middle of the road, the $10 million plant would need to leave us paying about $124 a month just for the sewer part. And, so I guess I, as a council member who have to sign off and say, yes, I approve these studies, I think we okayed it was 100,000 or 150,000 for the study that you're doing now. And I personally, honestly, I don't feel like I know anything more than I knew 5 years ago when I came on the council. And so I would like to know, I mean, I think the lift station has been really great. And it's good to hear from Susan that, it's helping some. But what guarantee do we have that we're going to see some results? I mean, one of our members of the audience asked when Matt was here, can you give us kind of a timeline? So we were kind of hoping by 2030 we would be done and we would have things in place. So thank you for listening to my comments, but can you help me understand a little bit better? Because I don't think I'm the only one that has that question.
Well, hopefully, but I've been working on this project for a matter of days now, so I can't. I don't want to, throw definitive answers out there. But I think I understand your frustration, and the facility plan is the necessary step to get the funding to make the actual physical improvements. And I think that's probably what everybody's kind of been waiting on is, when is the actual, when are we going to start turning dirt and actually, make improvements. And so as you can tell, there's a lot of information out there. We're trying to boil it down into a couple of very definitive alternatives that the council can make an educated decision on. And that's the whole point of the study and what we're going to provide to you by the next council meeting. So that there's less question marks and more definitive plan or at least alternatives on, if we do this type of treatment, it's going to result in this type of discharge. We're going to need this much land. It's going to cost this much within a range because market fluctuations all the time. So anyway, that's the point of this plan, facility plan, is to help the council to make an informed decision. And so we'll present the options, and it will be the council's decision which of those alternatives is best. And so that's the process. Is we want to lay it out as well defined as we can so that you can make an informed decision and we can move this forward. And I know there's been various things going on the lift stations. I know there's been some I&I improvements over the years, pipelining and various other things. I know about them in general, but not specifically. It's all moving towards this to make the actual improvements, to get out of the creek, keep river keepers happy, keep ecology happy, and we'll get a defined timeline and cost so that the whole community knows where we're headed.
In conversations with the potential landowners that would be involved, because that's the thing. If we purchased land 20 years ago, it would be a very different cost. But then again, we don't know what we need. So I guess the whole town is hoping that we'll have that solved by the end of this year.
Yeah, we want to give you answers.
So thank you. I know you're in a hard position, so thank you for trying to help us understand.
Any more questions?
I have a question real quick. So you projected $5 to $10 million for the overall cost of the plant. I know most of us here in town have done home projects at home where we budget so much money and then things happen and overages end up happening. As the city council and as the taxpayer in this town, if there's undiscovered problems or issues in the building of the plant, how much could potentially that overage be? A couple $100,000? Would it be a couple $1 million? Or is that just one of those we won't know until it happens? Just so council and the city knows what we're getting into with that.
I'd say we build a certain amount of contingency into our estimates. That's required and encouraged by ecology, so we're not asking for too little upfront. That unknowns are unknowns. So we try to accommodate those at a time, so it's not a big surprise during the process. But
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Can I ask how much roughly there is in contingencies built into that budget already?
Depending on the option, 30 to 50%.
And I'd like to point out that when we did the lift station, we went over that contingency because they had that bedrock. And
Right,
so
hit the rock.
I guess that has us all.
Yes, Stephen.
So, taking into account that we spent over what we were supposed to with the lift station because of the rock or the bedrock that was there, would you say that it's more feasible to add on to what we have and then maybe put a holding pond in between the sewer plant and the power station? That way we're just dealing with one lagoon, upgrading our equipment, because the second that we choose a different site, we might run into the same thing or different variables, and then we're possibly putting in a longer force main or another lift station on top of that to where it needs to go.
Mm. So you're asking,
would it be more feasible to upgrade what we have plus a holding pond off to the side and more like financially responsible? Because the second that you send it off site, you know, if we need to pipe it a half mile, then that astronomically raises the rate.
I think that's the best option. I said otherwise at the last meeting, but Matt kind of convinced me that what you're describing is probably better as far as I can tell at this point. That the good thing about the and that's this S1 where you store the effluent during the summer and then meter it out during the winter to avoid some of the nastier discharge limits that are probably may be imposed. The reason I like that option is for all the reasons that you're saying, but then also if there is some sort of regulatory change where you're not any longer allowed to outfall to the river at all, which who knows, 10, 20 years from now, you'd have the storage facility to support being able to do one of those other land treatment options, like you buy a field and then pay somebody to grow alfalfa using your effluent. So there's a lot of flexibility with the solution you're describing.
Have you taken into account like the size of that land in between the sewer plant and the power plant, and seen like based off of our flow reading if that would be capable of reaching that capacity, plus like a variable if the city has an expansion?
So just that just that area where it's not farming, that's between the power site and the plant, it's not big enough to you can build the storage facility that is needed just in that footprint. You'd have to either build out, which would be one set of problems, or you'd have to build into the hill of it. So you have to convince the property owner there to part with that land, and that would add some expense. And so it's those are kind of the catches with that option.
You know, like how deep, how wide, all that we would need for a storage facility.
Right now it's 15 feet by, and I have in my spreadsheet is 475 by 475. It's 6 acres when you take into account like the buffers and setbacks and that sort of thing. And then you have to, in that area, because it's part of it encroaches into the 100-year floodplain, you'd have to berm it up a bit in order to be able to site it there. So without those considerations, I think that's the way to go. But like you were saying, we want to give you enough detail to where something like the bedrock issue doesn't happen. So that's kind of everything we're considering right now.
Seems like Stephen's plan makes a lot of good sense.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, anybody else? We will be talking, guys. Okay. Make sure you give your contact to my Rolodex here. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Give me this one.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. There's a lot. There's a lot. Okay, let's go to L, the union vote. At this point, we are gonna have a vote whether to accept the recommendation of the union for a compensation package. We're gonna go around the table.
So before we do that, I actually would like to see if we could postpone it out a little bit. And I have some reasons, so you just hang in there with me for a second. Just really thinking it through. And I know we had a great conversation going through, looking at the contract, helping to understand it. One thing is, I really feel before I can a good conscious vote on it, I really need to see the insurance costs. We really need to have some kind of projection. We're asked to pay 100% of the insurance costs, but we don't know, we were given no numbers on that. So that is something that I would help me before I feel like I could fully vote to approve or disapprove or whatever the terminology is. The second thing is, because of the unfortunateness that we weren't able to live stream the meeting as we thought, there were a lot of people planning to, they come back and they watch our meetings, later in the week or whatever. I found out that wasn't available. So this weekend, I got overwhelmed with people contacting me and calling me and asking me to help understand what did I understand of it, etc. So I feel like there needs to be a little more time so that I can hear from more people and the council can hear from more people. So I'd like to propose that we have a town meeting. I've been approached by John Jager. He's asked several times. He'd like to hold a town meeting. He'd like the council to be there. He's checked in. The theater is available on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. And then the town meeting for people to come and raise your questions and concerns about both the sewer plant and the union. And we may not be able to answer a lot of questions, but I think I heard some things tonight that I hadn't heard or considered, and some people that I don't normally see or hear. So I feel like it would be very helpful. This impacts our community. We had a gal that came down here to the last meeting, and she wanted us to understand that after she pays all her bills, she lives on $75 a month. And then there's other people that really can see the benefits. So I just want to hear more. So there's that. And then, sorry, my notes are locking me out here. The other thing was, I guess that's it, but then I have a question about something prepared for the town meeting. So I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that. I guess what I would like to see, if we had a town meeting on Thursday night, I'm open if the council is available to having a special meeting on Friday that we could then ratify or not ratify the contract if we've been able to see the insurance figures before then. If not, we could bump it out. I'm going to be gone next week, so I guess that's why I don't want to push this out too long, but I would like to have a little more time. And I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that.
The insurance numbers were included. They were about $6,000. So
Per person or for the whole?
Okay, well, how much is it per person though? We need to know how much it is per person. And then we also had a question of Sanchez's. They're not on a contract. You stated that they are city employees.
they're not full-time employees. They are part-time employees, which are specifically.
Okay, that was a question that we had.
It does say in there that after so many hours, that's something I didn't understand, after so many hours, that they would be eligible.
If you hire somebody on a temporary basis and they work for you full-time for 6 months, then after that amount of time, is my understanding.
I don't know how, I mean, nobody, I mean, even Mike, nobody saw those insurance costs in there. How did I
Did you
miss
see
that?
that document I sent you? It's right at the top, but the AWC 250 plan was 250 deductible, and the current cost for cities our size is $974.10 a month per employee for employees only insurance.
Okay, but that was something you just, but when we had our meeting, you didn't.
I just got that a couple
Okay,
days
so
ago.
that, I guess that's just something I would, I still would need a little more time, and I really would like to hear more from the public before I voted on it now. So I guess it's up to the rest of you whether you want to proceed tonight or whether we want to.
Seems like it makes perfect sense, what you're suggesting, because there is a lot of concern, I would say that with the town meeting, the mayor certainly should be there as well to answer questions. I mean, you're certainly a part of the process. If there was an idea that you would not be there, I think that would be there. You should be there. I mean, it's a little like the informational meeting we had for the care center. That was helpful. I think we even have a lot of confusion here. A lot of people don't know the answers. They're saying, what's the information? I mean, we had the last meeting on the 14th. We did have some information that contracts printed. Some people got those, some didn't. Other people wanted to know. It was not public. It's just a public meeting. It was a public meeting, and the information is public, so that information unfortunately didn't get out. I mean, it wasn't anybody's fault. It didn't get out. But we do need more than, obviously we need, from what the public's saying, we need more printed copies of this contract so they can read it, since it was a public meeting. I mean, you made it public. It was a public meeting. You read the whole contract to the public, and which is good. I appreciate that. The public did, but there was only a handful of people here, a handful, but there were not very many. And a lot of people wanted to know. So there is a lot of confusion. Insurance was one. Other issues came up we didn't know. And so I don't think it'd be unreasonable to have a town meeting and then a special meeting. I think that after the town meeting, it's difficult to make a decision on total contracts until we have more information and we hear from the public as well. I mean, after all, that's who we represent, the public.
Yeah.
Not anybody else. We represent everybody, employees as well, but the public is who the citizens of the city, and as you do, Roy, as well. And that's who we respond to, and that's who's talking to us. So we need to be able to do that.
I agree. I think the public needs to see this contract. I really do. So they can.
Well, I have a question about that, so I understand Dave was talking on the way in the door that he came to see if he could get some copies to have that. And and I looked it up, so if you look it up, actually, maybe it is not necessarily public, maybe you know, Eric, you can help us with this, that looking up for the state, when you're negotiating a union contract, but yet you invited the public to come, some members of the audience were given the contract, and when Jimmy, I don't remember his last name, when he addressed the public with the details of the contract. So at our town meeting, would people be able to have a copy, and would we charge them? And we don't charge people when they come to a meeting, and we give out documents, so help.
Okay, so in my effort to be transparent, is why we had the public open to the negotiation, to the public, to contract availability. That's normally not the case. Normally what happens is, when I went to the AWC conference, I asked a scenario, I threw it out there, and I said, so we are on the process of going union. Who negotiates? Who is the negotiator? Normally, it's either a human resource officer or it's the city manager. Okay, one of us. And I was encouraged at that point to get out of the middle. because of my role as the mayor. That even though it was technically my position to negotiate the contract, it was put me in a really tough spot. So in conversations around, I says, who could I get? Who would be able to do this? And it occurred to me, or not, that I should just write this thing out for the first presentation, the first proposal.
Well, that's not the question I'm asking you, but
I'm
it's a
hoping,
good one. But Eric made it clear that it's a council, we thought you were coming back to us. The council had zero input on what you negotiated, and then we're being told we gotta make up our mind right now.
well, no, it's the first proposal.
Right.
Yeah, but we got a letter from Jimmy that said that he was not gonna negotiate.
This was negotiated, quote unquote, in good faith. Okay? I thought it was a fair proposal.
Okay,
I
my
thought-
question is, can
Excuse
people
me,
see the
excuse me, ma'am.
contract? All right, I'm trying to help you.
No. That's good. I thought it was a fair proposal. Now, did the council, did I propose something back to the union? Yes, I did, more than one thing. And I says, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed, because I think it's not palatable to the council. And they changed it and met us partway back. Now, the question I want to ask you is, you guys were not fully apprised, you didn't think you had enough information as far as the insurance. Okay, so now you have it. Is there something that would still not allow you to have a vote tonight, knowing those numbers that you know now, or are you waiting for more public input, which is really not what's supposed to happen? This is supposed to be done fairly privately and fairly within the structure of the union and the council.
But we
Okay,
didn't know that.
for instance, well, you do now.
But it's affecting these, our
I
constituents.
got that.
It's affecting them.
Easy. So, for instance, most of the citizens are not always aware when the school board negotiates with the teachers. Okay, those numbers are not out there. Okay, and those are the things that we need to remember. That there's sometimes those numbers are hard numbers. That's why we're a republic and not a democracy. Okay, they elect you guys to make those decisions for the public. Now granted, it's nice to kind of hear this, but you don't necessarily have to, information that they always wouldn't know.
Well, I agree I still don't think it hurts. I mean, I'm the one who brought up that there's a conflict here, right? And so I want to know, so I still think we could have a public meeting without them having to see the contract. The contract's already out there. People walked away with it. They shared it with neighbors and stuff.
And I'm not
So
sure.
that's not on us.
I'm not sure that was a right move on either my part or Jimmy's, okay?
Okay.
But
Because Jimmy, he talked to them. He answered
Certainly,
those questions.
because
He had
we're-
no idea till I looked it up tonight and wondered about that.
Because we're trying to be as transparent as possible. However, so there's a union proposal on the table. Okay, and I'm gonna defer to Eric here really quick. Okay, do you have an opinion on this? Should I wait? Or it gives me a bad feeling to have a public forum on this thing, because I'm not sure that's where we want to go, but
Well, I don't know. I have not seen the contract, so I can't opine on the contract. With the negotiation, the last I recall was the council delegated negotiation to you.
We did not delegate it.
Negotiation.
You encouraged us to let Lori go talk to them. But we never officially, we did not vote, we didn't vote to do that. That's what we were caught off guard.
That's what I thought Roy would negotiate, get a proposal from the union, provide it to you guys, and you guys would either approve it or change it and have Roy know that.
But that's what we feel.
That's
where we're at right
that's
now.
what my understanding was.
So we're put on the spot because you made them public. Now we have all these people that are on one side of the fence or the other, and they're pushing us. And when I look, we have every right, if it's a good faith contract, we have every right to take a little bit of time here. And maybe it'll help if we could go into our executive session for a couple seconds and raise a legal question that might help direct us on this.
Well,
Yeah.
possibly so, but we can say a lot of things, but clearly the horse is out of the barn. It's done. When he made a proposal, he did speak to everybody, and he also stated that we are under the impression that he was putting out a proposal. We were not under the impression that what had been negotiated yet. We always thought that was their kind of opening statement. He made a statement that the attorneys would come in and make the real negotiation. He couldn't negotiate. He wasn't his role, and we couldn't negotiate with him. And so we were listening to all this, and then as it got down to it, he indicates that he really had been negotiating with you, and you guys had several meetings and worked out stuff. And then we're thinking, well, after all of us had discussed it with other attorneys and other of the state, and we're going to see, they're saying that that's solely the responsibility of the council. And you're right. If we gave you the impression that you're going to be the sole negotiator for this, that's unfortunate. That was a misrepresentation on one part. And I think that his approach was somewhat misleading. And as it turns out, when he sent us, and he was clearly expecting us, from the impression he had, we signed it, as is, period. And then when he got the impression we might not have questioned him, then he sent us this harsh letter, as you probably got a copy, saying basically, leave it, either put up or shut up. You take it as it is, or vote it out, and then renegotiate. But if we don't do it in a timely manner, then it'll be unfair labor practice. I thought that was somewhat opposite. It's somewhat of a tough approach to me. If we have just gotten the contract, we just gotten the information, started reading it, and we realized there's a lot in there that many of us had questions over. And so it's been complicated. We looked at it and the impact. And so it's not uncommon to let these things settle, let these things work out. We had some meetings on it, and we're just getting up to speed on it. And as far as the contract, whether or not it was appropriate, the information's out there. Whether or not they get a paper contract in their hand, but the information, they're concerned about what impact the union's going to have on the city. And we're concerned about the impact the union's going to have on the city as well. But the public is, and they have a right to wonder, plus or minus. There's a group that says it's okay, it's good, and there's another group that says it isn't. And it's out there, and it's out there, period.
You know, it was my understanding, just listening to him that night, that there's no big rush either. I mean, we asked, does this have to be decided, right away? And I didn't get from him that it had to be done right away. I think it's more important that we digest and maybe share, but I don't think it was a big rush. Oh, let's get this decided. I didn't feel that way. Maybe the rest of you did.
No,
But I didn't feel that way, and I don't think he intended it to be that way.
So in your meeting, did you guys come up with some?
We talked
Some
about actually
topics.
waiting a month, we were realizing that our next meeting wasn't until mid-August. So that's where we were going to go till the very end. And we went through, and then we kind of feedback, we changed, we decided, okay, well, maybe we could go ahead, but like I said, I've given it some more thought. And I think a good compromise is to say, let's vote on it by the end of the week. There is nothing, I don't believe, that says that our citizens can't have a public meeting to raise concerns.
I think that
Or
public meetings,
support, either way.
Yeah.
So what do we do with the changes that we asked
We
for?
went through it already, and we made changes to give back to Roy to give to him. Now that we know the cost, $974 for insurance, I'd say we vote tonight.
Well, can we decide, I think if we vote and if enough people want to do it, then we go ahead and vote tonight. If we delay it, we table it until a special meeting.
We already know where we're at. We already went through it.
I still have some questions.
Well, I know, we might, as a council, maybe each individual knows where they're at, but do we know where the community is as a whole? I think that's more important to know than what even us sitting up here think.
I agree,
We're here
Marge.
for them, and that's the most important part.
I agree, because I feel as if our street levies will not get passed, any city levies now will not get passed. I've had people tell me. And that's gonna hurt the city.
I guess I'm in a position as a council, we are damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. I get it.
I mean, they're gonna need.
And so I'm okay with fighting a little bit longer. This is with us forever. The union doesn't go away. And, we're here. So it's new and there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit more time. I realize he's gonna go back and negotiate, but I'm just not ready for that step yet.
I don't think it's a question of, fighting it out or anything. I think it's just clarifying to everybody. Going through it wasn't easy. And I think everybody in our town has a right to see that. And if maybe, oh yeah, go for it, then, we're your voice. If you think that's what we should do, then voice up. We do hear some voices, but we don't hear a lot of voices in this town. And I'm not on Facebook, so
No, well,
take that out of it.
the town meeting is one thing. There's a lot of interest in that. That's one issue. But our other issue is we need more time now, as it turns out, to make a decision, say by the end of the week, unrelated to the town meeting, but we need to think about that, maybe make that decision then.
Speak up a little, Pete.
We could, it would be good to make a decision. We need more time to think about it and make a decision as early, like Friday, and have a special meeting, executive session, discuss it, and then come out and make a decision. I mean, this is a big, big thing. We never had a union in this town, and that's a big decision. There's a lot of cost and a lot of impacts on a lot of people, good and bad. And nobody ever gets everything they want. Nobody does. But we're still just in the infant stage of negotiating this thing. And
Well, yeah, so let's vote and give them our recommendations, then go back and then it's back and forth thing. I don't wanna sit here for next goddamn 6 months waiting to go over this stuff.
I think our citizens are worth it myself,
Well-
so I don't mind. We've been here, we've taken years to figure out our sewer system, a few days, I'm asking for 5 days.
Okay, so, just gonna throw this out here. I'll entertain a motion to vote on the union contract. Do I hear a motion?
I motion that we vote on the union contract as.
Is there a second? Okay, motion dies for lack of second. All right. Do we still want to go to executive session? Okay. We're gonna give it 15 minutes. We're gonna come back at 7:45, okay?
On point of order,
Yes, sir?
we need to state what the executive session was for.
Yes, give me a
For
reason.
a legal, for a potential legal matter.
Legal?
Legal. All right, thank you,
I did say.
Mr. Parliamentarian, thank you, appreciate it. All right, we'll be back in 7:45.
I was wondering.
They've been long gone.
All these kids are like,
But I just.
Well, right now, I think $50 a month for if we have to borrow, that goes up. So when this one gal said, she heard it, her price, $50. Well, we were told, you're looking at that. 24 and 20, we're looking at $44. That's all.
You can see my soapbox. I did.
So we split it out. Two people that came in. But I could really sit here with
When I came to different teachers,
you know how girls are. I mean, and that was I knew all the time when I was sick, he's not going to do it. No, let's get it on the picture. But then either he was like nothing to say. And who was not, you know, I thought my answer was, you know, and that's all.
it's hard, you know, it's hard. I have news for you. You bring it all. I had my
Well, it's either saying here's the new like that. And all the other work. We can find ourselves on
And these old timers, they show me all the different trends. And, I mean, she let me be home and take my kids back. And so my kids use when they came out.
I thought you guys were gonna stop the other night. I thought you guys were gonna stop the other night when you came. You just turned around and went back out. You saw me wave at you. I wasn't trying to shake my fist.
Well, you know, I think we're gonna have this.
Oh, no.
Come down.
Sometimes you get over in a place like that. You think,
Were you
out of the world.
Were you given?
Yeah.
You, yeah.
No, it's kind of hard.
You're always welcome. Come on over to that.
If there was a sign that said, I was and I had in.
That's, that place, that's where my great grandfather was.
You know, it's a connection.
Yeah.
You never know.
But you know, that's pretty. So most people, when you tell them, there's no. Yeah, there it is. I can, yes.
I'm surprised you know.
No, you didn't see short.
Nope.
Sit short, I can get over it.
What do you like it for?
Yeah. My arm's not like. I can still get going, yeah.
Okay. Just let me know.
Yeah, there you go. Hear me say shit. I'm an artery.
Yep. How are you doing? Not too bad.
I was planning on staying till
You'll be perfect.
Oh, I saw my phone in our jeans, yeah.
Oh, you're still? Yeah. I was here for a couple hours today. Okay.
Okay,
I'm so sorry. I'm sick.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I have. All right,
We're not open on Monday. How about?
Okay, thank you. Let it show that we're out of executive session on time this time. Once. Okay.
I have a motion I would like to make, and then we'll settle, any further meetings with this, but, I'd like to motion that the council pursue, finding and hiring a negotiator to help us walk through, the details of this, contract. Both for, I mean, I think there's some great things in there. That's my motion, it's that we pursue.
Do we have the motion to table the vote tonight that was set on the agenda first? Table,
Oh, can we, do you want to do that? Okay.
well, let's move the vote first and then let's.
Sure, thank you.
Well, technically, there's a motion, but it hasn't been seconded yet, so.
Yeah, we didn't second
It
the
dies
motion
for
at
lack
all,
of,
so we never
dies for
really,
lack of
it
second at
was just
this
a
point.
topic.
All right, so now you carry on, go over whatever you.
Well, because we put it on the agenda tonight to vote on the contract, if we want to move it down the road, which is fine with me, don't we have to make a motion to table tonight's vote and move it ahead? Then we can come back and do the rest of it. That's my question. Is that correct, Eric?
I would agree with that.
Okay,
I will make a motion to table the contract vote tonight to, next meeting in August?
in a month.
You don't, could we do a special meeting on Friday?
Whatever, I'm just saying we need to move it.
Yeah.
Next meeting's not till August.
That's fine. Table it.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Let's
table
it.
tonight's vote.
It's been moved to table it.
I'll
Is there a
second it.
Second, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right. Motion
Dan,
to,
Dan was opposed.
yeah. Dan opposed. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan.
Okay.
Speak up.
All right, okay, well, I could have gone around and done a handful.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's been tabled till the next regular scheduled meeting or whenever we meet again. How's that? All right, now, Pam, you got something?
Yeah, I would like a motion that we pursue finding a professional negotiator, to help us walk through the contract.
I second.
Okay, question, we gotta put a dollar cap on this?
I mean, do you guys want to put a dollar cap? I mean, obviously, people are concerned about how much that would cost. I'm not gonna,
Yes.
I think we would, I think the audience has to understand they're here as an audience at this point. It's not a public forum at this moment.
Right.
Okay, just want to make sure. That, I think if we bring them, we can put the cap on it at that point.
Really?
I mean, we're not gonna run out, if I'm looking or he's looking, we're not gonna run out and hire somebody without council approval.
Yeah.
And so we would be able to look at that, because I really have no idea what the process, and then, maybe we would decide that we just really can't afford it.
Okay.
Just a point of clarification for me. We're looking to possibly hire a negotiator for the council and the city of Tekoa to represent us, and that would then take him out of the negotiation with us. Okay. That's all it is.
Okay.
One second.
You seconded it. Sorry. Okay, any more discussion?
Well, I'd just like to add, I hadn't really prepared for this, but, you know, you mentioned the cost. Okay, so it would cost right now, but what the union's suggesting we do is not just this year's cost. We're talking about years down the road, how that's gonna affect how much we're paying out. So if there's an initial amount that you're gonna pay now, I think it's worthy. I mean, I'm the last one to want to spend money, but I think it's worthy because we're kind of blindsided in the first place. And then basically, I'm sorry, but I felt a little bullied, you know, at the union thing because it was so unexpected, I guess. So, you know, we're looking at, okay, have somebody come and just give us some guideline, give us some help. I mean, I didn't come into this with this
And most
expecting
cities,
to do this.
and most
so,
cities, and like this, get a negotiator to work them through it.
Yeah,
We have to spend
and
time
I
on
think
it.
it'd be a big help, you know, and it doesn't have to be extravagant, but I think it would be helpful down the road. We're talking right now, but what the union is proposing is gonna cost every year.
Okay, thanks.
So,
And I would like to just add too that, you know, there was the possible consequence or threat or whatever word that if we got to an impasse, that there would, that it could be turned into a lawsuit. And then we got a reminder of that in an email. And so, I think we're being asked to enter into something that affects every person in the city. So I feel that I would rather err on that side to make sure, and for our employees. I'm gonna state again, there are some things in that contract that I think will be really helpful and some things that'll help us to move forward. I just wanna make sure we're doing it the right way.
Okay, so all those in favor of Shelley's motion, that she comes back to the city to give approval on the monetary before anything is done, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
What is it?
we're gonna hire, the city will hire an advisor, how's that?
Right.
Negotiator advisor, to negotiate the union contract. But she will come back with a dollar figure before, because we're not gonna just open a checkbook.
Depending on the cost of the negotiator.
At the cost of the negotiator, okay?
And I'm not the
All those
one
in-
looking
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, good, Dan? Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Unfinished business. Tiny home follow-up ordinance 906. What do we got?
Prepare an ordinance for everyone's.
There we go. There we go.
And I believe this ordinance from the discussions that we've had at previous meetings, I believe that this ordinance kind of fits what the council is looking for, and so if you have any questions.
I have one question, Eric, and maybe it's just a point of clarity. It's my understanding that when we talked about this, we agreed to allow tiny home up to 1,000 square feet. Did I miss something on a vote, or?
Tiny home up to 1,000 square feet.
I don't know, I'm asking I don't remember what.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it,
We
but I
just
don't.
didn't have the language fully. He's just making sure that we have the language right before.
Well, this says 400 square feet maximum.
Only 400 square feet maximum. Well, because would that even be, well, because that's how it's defined, and that's for the state.
That's the definition, okay.
Yeah.
That's an ADU. That's your accessory dwelling unit.
No, it's a primary residence.
That's a primary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure about,
If it's 1,000 square feet, I don't even know if it would be a tiny home at that.
Well,
That's
no.
regular house.
Yeah.
just my misunderstanding.
Oh,
Well, I want to make sure, I think you're onto something though. So it says that 1,000 square feet and above, and if we're gonna approve 400, so are we not allowing people at 500 or 600?
no, so family dwelling is defined as 500 square, I think it was maybe it was 1,000 square feet. Or, in the zoning code, there's family dwelling unit, but we're adding, instead of changing that, I'm adding tiny home. So if someone buys a lot, they can either put a tiny home or a regular dwelling unit on there. This just allows them to put a tiny home on a lot for their primary residence if they choose to do so.
Right.
Well, I think 400 square feet is reasonable because I don't see anybody trailer in 1,000 square foot tiny house down the road.
Right.
You couldn't get the permits to move it.
Right, so this doesn't, by defining tiny home this way, this doesn't mean people can't put primary dwellings of 1,000 square feet. It just allows a tiny home as defined per state regulations.
I noticed this says maximum floor area, 400 square feet. Should it be minimum?
It says tiny home means attached single family dwelling unit with an area of 400 square feet or less.
Right.
Right. But excuse me, when you were discussing it before, I thought you said you wanted a minimum of 400 square feet, not a maximum.
I don't think that's it.
Tiny home is 400. Yeah, this is
That is the law. That's just
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, I just wanted to make sure that was what you had said, because that was what I hadn't understood. Or so you're saying that now, as long as it meets the definition of a home, it
Of a
can
tiny
be any, of a tiny home, it can be anything up to 400 square feet.
It means it has to be a single family dwelling unit, 400 square feet excluding lofts, that has a permanent foundation, complies with International Residential Code, specifically Appendix Q, because that's where this is defined.
So may I suggest that because we are already at the end of our meeting time, I'm sure we're gonna extend it tonight, that we have a chance to read through this and put it back.
Yeah, this wasn't up for a vote. I know you've been looking for one. I said I get you one.
Because we have voted on it, it needed the legal
You
language.
just want to make sure it's good. Yeah, you want to make sure this is going to reflect what you guys voted on. So you can put it in the
So can we continue the conversation at our next meeting?
Question to the council. We see we've got one per lot. Is that in stone or is that just what we were thinking?
I thought that was stone, one more per lot.
We passed that ordinance over a year ago.
Well, I
before we
know
defined it.
that's what it is, but
Yeah.
in a conversation I had a month ago, kid was out of Post Falls and he'd done a lot of this stuff. And he says, what's really encouraging for people when they're doing these quote unquote developments is if they can have more than one lot per, more than one house per lot. If they can put two together, then it helps their investment, it helps the whole situation out a little bit. Because he's been around, I just Slippery Gulch breakfast. Guy was a contractor out of Post Falls. And I was having a conversation with this guy and he kind of was just listening and then all of a sudden he stepped in and he says, you know, there's some real advantages to them. One is that it's versus apartments because they're your own walls. You're not banging on the wall across from the neighbor. And he says, and it's really advantageous for a developer to put two of them on a lot. Just as a curiosity, I mean, we can work through this at the next meeting if we'd like, but just something to think about in the meantime and do a little research.
Our lot size is like about 50 by 150 or 50 by 100. That's our average lot size. 50 by 100. But if you were what Roy's talking about, then it would be 50 by 50.
That'd be adequate for a tiny home in my way of thinking.
Yeah, 50 by 50.
So two on a 100 by 50-foot lot would be a problem.
I guess it really depends what we're trying to encourage.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think, didn't we discuss last time too, if somebody came to us, that we would consider a variance depending on like
Sure.
where zone and where they wanted to put it. Or if somebody wanted to do a development like what they have in Plummer or in Roselia, where there's several of them, I think that's just a matter of coming and saying.
Right.
So I don't know that that would change this.
All right, okay, we'll think about it and thank you, Eric. We'll come back later on it. Heidi Carrero, request.
I've had a couple of discussions with Heidi, and we came up with what we think is a possible solution that benefits her and the city. And the $140 a month is not something she can continue to do. And my offer to her, and what I need you guys is to say yes or no, is to allow her to rent our community center at a rate of $10 for 4 hours. Normally she would rent for 8 hours, so that's $20 per day. And that's gonna be about 1 day a month. So that's 4 days a month, that's $80. That's almost 50% of what she's paying in rent now. She can afford that. She can also use the basement of our community center, went down and looked, and took her down there and she said it's fine to store her equipment and stuff in that she needs to. The advantage to that is it's not a lot of money she's paying the city, but it puts a few dollars in our community center coffer for expenses or whatever we need there, janitorial stuff or whatever. And then in the wintertime, if for some reason she can't make it over here from, because it's St. Mary's, I think is where she lives, she doesn't have to rent it for that week. I mean, it's based on day by day. So we're saving her money. We're keeping that business in town with the hope that it's gonna grow, because I think it's cool. I like what she showed me some of the stuff. And I think that if we can get by for $10 for 4 hours of rental, which is basically what we would charge a nonprofit, which she almost is, if you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But it keeps her here. It keeps the business in town. It puts some money in the community center for incidentals, and I think everybody wins. And she's all for it, but we need you guys to say yes or no.
The biggest thing is the kids have someplace to go.
Well, that's it, and she's looking at a new school year coming up and being able to maybe get some more kids.
Mike, one question I have with the agreement, I don't know what kind of equipment or shoes and things she'll have on that floor. It's a very soft.
It's all gonna be in totes, so it's not gonna be sitting on. And that floor, if you go to the west end of the building, which is near the street, it's dry, it's cool. The only dampness that I found was right at the other end of the building, by the alley. There's been some moisture there, but it's still pretty dry. There's a fan going and it's keeping it dry, but that whole west half is more than adequate, and everything she has would be in totes, so it's
And the dancing and the things on that floor, will it add a faster wear and tear than, and I'm not saying, I'm just wanting a workaround, or we're gonna give her some lenience, and all of a sudden she doesn't get hit with some kind of a fine or
I forgot to
something.
ask her that question,
I think
but
they just wear those ballet slipper things.
Well, she does
That's
several
what I
types of
think they would
dance, she does several styles of dance.
and maybe it's a case where we might have to see about her purchasing some type of temporary covering for the floor.
Does she have mats?
I can't answer that question. I believe she does for some of
That's
her
what
dancing.
I thought she had
But-
mats.
I guess I looked at this as a win-win for everybody.
That's a great.
Okay. Mike, I don't see her, she's not gonna be, I don't see her affecting other people using the facility, do you? I mean,
No.
if she's there, we want to discourage everybody else from using it.
Her schedule can be flexible. I mean, if there's already somebody ahead of her in the scheduling for say Monday, then she knows she can't be there. If she's first in on Monday, then that other person would have to change her. I mean, that's just the way it
And we
is.
did that with another program.
That's the same scenario.
It's a good idea.
Okay, I'll hear a motion.
I would make a motion to accept Farrell and Nash Studios, allow them the use of the community center at a rate of $10 per 4 hours.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, oh, go ahead, you want to second it? Go
I'll
ahead.
second.
Sure, second. Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you,
No, I
everybody.
said
I like this one.
I said aye this time.
Talking to Heidi.
Okay, good, thank you. Motion passes. N group variance request. Sorry we've taken so long to get to this
No
point.
problem. I'm happy to be here.
So try to keep it rolling.
Mayor, council, Tekoans. My name is Ann Root. I had submitted a request for a variance last time we met, and there was a lot of questions. And I thought, great, opportunity to go to Washington. So I'm here tonight. I'm here to request 2 variances on a vacant lot I recently purchased in Old Town Tekoa. To give everyone an idea what that lot is, if you go to the coffee roasters, that's Main and Crosby. If you go east, that would be Main and Broadway. And if you go east, that's Main and Howard. So the house on the corner, the west corner, there's a vacant lot adjacent to that. I purchased that and recently had it surveyed. So what I would like to build, maybe I should tell you a little bit about my experience, and that might help you have confidence in me completing this project. I've specialized, I have a degree in agriculture from Purdue, and studied public horticulture, botanic gardens, arboreta, cemeteries, art museums. I worked for a couple governors at the governor's residence. The idea is to use the land to advance the institutional goals of the organization that hired me. But through the course of life, I ended up getting sidetracked from that and ended up being a real estate investor. I'm completely self-funded. I don't borrow money. And I specialized in buying infill lots in older neighborhoods. I've often served as a land bank because I pay for the property, I can hold it. mowing and the taxes and the trash can be a problem because I don't have any income coming in, but I keep everything going. I'm already hired a contractor to take care of the lot here in Tekoa, and I pledge that that will always happen. So I have done this in various states. It's not just here. So you're gonna ask, how did you end up in Tekoa? I bought property in Idaho, in the Fennel, up high. It's beautiful, but I didn't fit into the community. And I still love the quirky people there, but it is about, where I am gonna be loved and able to give love and be part of a community. And so when I was here looking at the property in Idaho one day, I went over the mountain into Harvard and out Potlatch. And I was so taken by the Palouse that I had to pull over because it was so beautiful. I'd never seen anything like it. And at that point, I knew that maybe I had found a home or my next home. I currently live in Colorado Springs. I have a lovely Craftsman home. I also own the house next door that I bought from my neighbor. That was a very good transaction. And I enclosed a copy of what the house looks like. You can find it on Zillow. It's currently for lease, and you can see the kind of amenities that I think the market demands. Things like USB ports in all the outlets, heated bidets, windows that capture the view without, and still fitting in, it still feels like a cabin because it was built in 1910. And that's been very successful for me. So I've been watching Tekoa for about 3 years, the real estate and other areas, and I found this lot. And so I bought it without seeing it. And I have a plan for it. And in order to achieve what I want, which is to create a home for myself and a source of income. And maybe a source of income for Tekoa as well. But I need 2 variances. The first variance is that the houses, you know how things get built over time and things change. There's always the requirement for a setback. And the houses, the side of one house and the front of my neighbor's house are forward, maybe before the setbacks were even established. And so I'm asking for my house to meet even with the houses on either side of me. So it would have a low front door, a smaller front yard, but that could be a beautiful entry garden. And that would make a great statement for my business. So what I want to do is I want to build an Airbnb, a purpose-built short-term rental in the front. 2 bedrooms. I'm gonna hedge my bet a little bit and also make it a good rental for like a long-term rental in case the short-term rental doesn't work out. But I think given some time, I think it will. And then behind it, an apartment for myself over the garage. That apartment would have a garage for myself and then off-street parking for the short-term rental, so it wouldn't impact my neighbors. So I'm asking for the front setback and the right to build an additional dwelling unit on the property.
Right now, the setbacks are 20 feet.
And I'm really hard of hearing,
I'm
so
sorry,
if you have,
right now, the setbacks are 20 feet.
yes. And I wanna keep the 20-foot setback off the back.
Gotcha.
Because I wanna have that off-street parking. Where I live is over by Garden of the Gods, if any of you've been there. So my neighborhood is this like south entrance to the Garden of the Gods, so it's old neighborhood. And I probably have 15 or 20 short-term rentals. They kind of vacillate between 30 days, sometimes there's a longer-term tenant, sometimes it's shorter, but they're all very well managed. And I have not had a single problem with any of those units. There are actually people that are thrilled to be there. They're all on vacation, so they're all smiles. And then there's the period of time when there's no one there. And that's nice, that's nice too. We also have a lot of rentals around me. And we also have some very low income housing right across the street, like by the day, by the week, by the month. And so I am familiar and comfortable in making my building fit into the neighborhood. I think I'd be a good neighbor to everyone.
Okay, I know we've talked about the setbacks are a little much in today's climate, but what's your thoughts?
Well, with the Blues Trails, it would be nice to have Airbnb.
So
we were thinking about calling it the View House at Old Town Tekoa. And maybe upstairs in a little alcove, have a big soaking tub overlooking the Palouse, so that when you're done with your trail, you can come and unwind in Tekoa.
Okay, so do we have any problems with the ADU unit, the garage and the second unit she wants to go? Ma'am, you're a little more versed on this than I am. You got any potential alligators out there we should worry about?
No, it would be a variance, to our code, because the council has talked about not doing ADs. It might be a really good experiment to see how that could work here.
Yeah.
Just one water connection.
The code says if you have two different units, you have to have two different connections.
Yeah.
It's one connection to be hooked up until you get charged for two separate buildings.
So, this garage,
One connection, 2 meters.
1 meter to, like, so if you have an apartment building and it has 8, you have one connection, but you have 8 units that you're paying for, and that's what would have to be there.
Not 8 separate meters.
No, so it'd be
The
2.
owner pays that.
The owner pays that.
yeah,
What's the setback off of Main Street on that piece of property? Is it also 20?
What's the Howard?
She's on Howard.
She's on
Yeah, but I'm
Howard,
curious,
so
on the
Wayne
side,
is
on the
up
side
here.
where,
That's properties on both
That's,
sides.
she's in between.
She's in between.
This
This
is Wayne
was-
over here.
oh, okay.
So this house, because it faces Main, only has a 10-foot setback on the side.
Yeah.
And that's why she's asking to have
And
a
this,
10-foot
is this a
setback.
10 foot or 20 foot?
This is, you only have to have a 5-foot setback on that side because it's
I don't have
up
a
against
problem.
property. It's not a street.
and the garage will be standalone. The garage will stand alone on its own.
Yes, and it would, because we'd be able to develop the entire property all at once. We would be able to deal with drainage, and that buildings would look compatible, and it's not really a development, but to me, it is a development, and it would look homogeneous. Also, as an Airbnb, we want it to have, people like staying at places that look good, you know, and have a vision about what they are. And so
What's
I
the,
think
what's the
that-
square foot of the garage?
above the garage.
Oh, yeah.
What do you
The
think?
square foot.
It's a two-car
Well,
garage.
part of it is gonna be open underneath so that you've got covered parking and then 2-car garage. And then in order to run a really good Airbnb, I need a commercial laundry. You can't have the cleaning staff taking home all this bedding and trying to do it in their laundry. And so people want fresh. So we're talking about in that garage area, putting 2 washers, 2 dryers, and a laundry sink and a folding table. So it would be about 24 feet deep and about 32 feet wide. And then hopefully upstairs, there would be a separate bedroom, because that's where I'll live, a bathroom, a kitchen, and a deck that looks out of the roofs.
So is this the lot that belonged to Heights? Is this-
Yes,
is
that's
that
the
their
lot.
lot? So they had a bed and breakfast in their house for years, and then, so you're just building bed and breakfast?
Across the
Their
alley.
lot?
I looked at their house, but it doesn't.
I'm just saying we've had that in
Not
that
enough
neighborhood before,
bathrooms.
that's all I'm saying,
Yeah.
we've had something similar.
Yeah. We'll be building some pretty big bathrooms in this place.
So how can
Because
you say?
people, if they've been traveling with a couple and stuff, they might be ready for a little separation, you know?
Good point.
You know?
Okay, really quick, guys, Eric pointed out that we don't have an ADU ordinance in place at this point.
Because that's 2 residents on that one lot, right? Right.
So we're gonna have to make one then, huh?
That's what my legal counsel said.
So I think you should probably make one first.
Rather than trying to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yes, I'm gonna make that first and then.
Well, but are we, I mean, I don't know, Roy brought some questions about ADUs. And so are we just gonna jump out there and pass it and really not do this?
How quick are we talking, ma'am?
Well, I got an offer on a lot I have for sale in Colorado Springs. So that's gonna make, if I can get my variance, that's gonna make things move a lot faster.
You've already purchased this property, correct?
I have purchased it, and I also purchased a water and a sewer tap, and I also had it surveyed.
Okay.
It's a lot of commitment.
Okay, so you understand where our guardrails are at this point.
Well,
We
I mean,
need to-
I'm gonna be living in Tekoa, so I
Is a month gonna
kind
throw
of
you,
share it.
is a month gonna throw you off too much? Because we would really like to get the ADU ordinance.
Yeah.
The tiny home thing approved.
How about this?
Oh, what is this? Let's make a deal?
How about you approve this with the variance
Contingent on the
and
ADU.
see how it works? It is in, this is in Old Town. There is already some doubling up of housing in that area, people having apartments, down below and stuff, and so, and it is close to the commercial district. So this would be an ideal place to, if you're not gonna allow blanket ADUs, if you're gonna do ADUs by district, I would say this would be one of your most favorable districts, and maybe give me a chance, see how it works, and then that'll give you some footing for your ordinance.
Boy, I'm glad I don't have a vote on this. So-
You're still talking, Eric, you're really hesitant
Right.
about us making variances.
But a month, I'll wait, but I will not make
You know
any
where it is?
decisions until.
It's across from Jerry Heights. It's across the alley from Jerry Heights. in the back.
Yeah.
So it's not that
Next to where
gravel,
the guy point-
it's not that gravel lot where the motorhome
No,
But it's not,
no,
just a little bit
next to where you see some,
But, I drove up there, I couldn't really understand.
right, next to Miranda Miles. And down the hill from the other house. So that's where it is, across from Sherry Heights lot. Okay, so what do we want to do?
I think we gotta get the ordinance tied together.
You want to nail the ordinance first?
As our council recommends. A month is surely the end of the world.
It's not my vote.
To have a public comment on something like that when you're changing, because the one thing, if we're gonna allow ADUs throughout the town, that's what it would happen, right? It could impact, the number of cars in neighborhoods, and, I mean, there could be some things that we're not thinking about. So we may have
I
to
think you probably want public comment on it, yeah. But I think you should, that's just my advice, is you should have it in place first, instead of putting the G back in the bottles.
I gotta listen to Aaron.
Okay,
You say
thank you, Ann. We're gonna probably bump you down the road for a little bit.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
We'll come in and help you build when you get it going outside.
Okay.
Roy will, you
Thank you.
You have witnesses.